Welcome to the podcast. My guest today is Mark Robinson. He is the superintendent of the Buckeye Central Local School District. Very glad to have you back.
Thank you for having us here, for having me here.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you here. You always are a fount of knowledge, as with our superintendents, the many that we have come in here and share with us.
I hope to be.
Well, you have a lot of information and a lot of things that, people that are interested in all of these school districts. You'd be surprised how many people listen to all, even though they might not have children attending a district, they like to hear what's going on. And so it's kind of nice. But you got something today I know we want to start out about with. You had a principal of the year, correct? You had a high honor there in the district.
We did. Quite an honor. Dr. Michael Martin.
Okay.
Mike is our high school principal. He takes care of the building grades 9 through 12. And he was recently selected as the OASSA Principal of the Year.
Wow, that's good.
And OASSA is the Ohio Association of Secondary School Administrators. So he's the Principal of the Year for 2024. And I guess I'd like to say congratulations to Mike on air, or as we talk in this podcast. It's quite a prestigious recognition and honor. And he will represent the state of Ohio next year throughout the entire 2024-2025 school year as Principal of the Year.
Well, that's good. Congratulations are well due here. That's I would say a very high honor, because I'm sure there's quite a field of people that would be eligible for consideration for this award.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know what the exact number is that belong to OASSA, but it's got to be in the 500 to 800 range.
That's what I figured. It would be pretty high.
Of secondary school principals, if not more.
Yeah.
And it goes to show you, Mike is our representative, or their representative, but it goes to show you the type of staff we have at Buckeye Central. Everybody I work with is excellent, and that's what allows us to be the type of school district that we are.
Yes,
a quality school district is really good people.
Yes, people make the difference on all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this month here of April, we got a lot of testing going on, so I imagine I think you were the one that coined the term the last time you were here. It's testing month.
It is testing month. I smile. Those of us who are superintendents, sometimes I think we over-test in the state of Ohio. I'd be the first one to say that, and I think my colleagues would agree. But it is what it is.
Yes.
And what we do is we provide it for our kids. We've had the ACT testing take place recently. We've had the Ohio Bilingual Pathway Test, which is the Spanish test, took place recently for kids who want to use the foreign language pathway to get a high school diploma. We have state testing coming up just around the corner. It is testing month. It's spring of the year, so that's what happens in Ohio.
Yeah. You recently did a staff survey, didn't you?
We did. That's always good for us. We did a staff survey to ask the staff what their plans were for next year and what their interests were, in the event they'd want to move into a different subject area or grade level. And I will say that survey showed that we have a lot of stability. People are really happy within their positions. They want to stay put. We don't have a lot of movement, which is always nice. If you're in a big suburban district, sometimes you have a lot of people in and out. And we don't have that. We're pretty good shape, according to the staff survey, that everybody's happy and we're moving forward.
All right, now for the 2024-2025 school year, I'm sure there will be some changing in staffing. Am I correct, or is everything going to be fairly stable?
We have some changing.
Okay.
We have a high school English position that is open.
Okay.
We have a middle school math position, which is open. Kindergarten, which I believe will be an internal move. But if that becomes an internal move, whoever moves into that, of course, then we'll have an opening in that position. What else? Possibly preschool. We're always looking for substitute teachers. And top on everybody's list in Ohio and across the nation today is we're always looking for bus drivers.
Yeah.
So those are some of the positions. I will tell you that the English position's been posted for probably 2 or 3 weeks now. And it's interesting to see that you just do not get the types of applicants that we used to get in the past. Yeah. The pool gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yes. Yeah, well.
Which is frustrating to us in education.
Well, sure, because you would like to have a nicer pool to choose from in the selection process. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
We'll find the right person.
Yes.
But it's just different. You know, I've been in a long time, and it's just different these days than it was, 20, 30 years ago when you'd have 50 applicants for every position.
Yes, yes.
These days you get 1 or 2 or 3, and hopefully those applicants are excellent and they can fit right in at Buckeye Central.
I know spring sports are underway, and I'm sure it's like I always say, the tug of war between winter and spring. One day you might have snow and be real cold, and another day it might be in the 70s. So I'm sure this is kind of apropos, correct? Isn't this what's going on this year?
I love that analogy because it is very much that tug of war. One day it could be up in the 60s, sunshine, beautiful. Next day it could be in the low 40s, raining, and it's tough. We play baseball and softball in the spring as well as track, and we get some of them in, we don't get some of them in, and we have a lot of rescheduling that takes place throughout the entire spring.
Yeah.
But the kids love it, and we're moving forward with a lot of success.
Well, that's just a part of the school calendar, so I'll just say, well, and it really is just all a part of that. Now, don't you folks have negotiations coming up?
We do, and the reason, we do that every 3 years with negotiations.
For your contracts, huh?
Right, and basically what we do is we sit down with the BCEA, the Buckeye Central Education Association, and we negotiate our contract for the next 3 years, typically. That's coming up in April. So most superintendents don't say this. I guess I kind of look forward to it because it gives us the opportunity to sit down with the association, figure out what's gone really well over the past 3 years, some of the things that we need to look at in our contract that may not be working quite as well. And by the time we come out of there at the end of April or sometime in middle May, we'll be in good shape for the next 3 years.
That's good. Again, it's something in the cycle of a
It
school system, and like you say, you're a veteran of being a superintendent, so it's something that it's just, like I said, it's something that's there.
And I've been at Buckeye Central now for 10 years, believe it or not, so this will be the 4th time that we've sat down and talked about working conditions and just different things that go on. And so
you're not a novice in this process, is what you're saying.
Not a novice, and really look forward to it because, like I said, it gives us an idea of how things are going in the building or in the district, and allows us to shore things up if they aren't working quite the way we want them to. Yeah. So,
portrait of a learner. Okay, what are we talking about here when we talk about the portrait of a learner? Is this something who's involved in this process of this portrait of a learner?
You may have heard about Portrait of a Graduate from the other superintendents who have been in with the podcast. And basically what we're doing is we're going through a process to figure out what a graduate, and we're changing that term to learner at Buckeye Central. The Portrait of a Learner are students as they come out of school. And we've been working together with probably 6 or 7 other districts across north central Ohio. And it basically gives us the attributes that we want our students to have when they leave our schools.
Okay, who inputs this? Teachers or who goes about?
It's teachers, it's community members, students. We have students on the team.
Okay.
We have teachers on the team, administrators, some of the community members are going with us. The police chief, I saw him headed out the other day. He was headed over. So just everybody that's involved in our Buckeye Central community.
Now, what would be maybe like 5 of these attributes?
Well, the attributes that we're kind of honing in on right now, and a lot of that comes from a questionnaire that we put out to the community, to the kids, the meetings. The ones we're looking at right now are adaptability, communication, critical thinking, problem solving, and responsibility.
Wow, that's the keys to life, isn't it?
And if you look at those 5, that's pretty much the keys to life, and we're working really hard. We will be working, and we are working really hard for our kids to have those attributes when they leave Buckeye Central Schools.
Well, it's critical. It's critical to be, someone that's a value to society and a value to your family and a value to the community. It's critical.
And then what we'll do is we have those broad like adaptability. Then we'll dig down deeper into adaptability and basically define what does adaptability mean to us.
Yes.
We can look it up in the dictionary and know what it means, but what does it mean to us as we work with our kids? You know, what does communication mean to us? What is good communication, quality communication, those types of things.
Yes, and that's a good point to say, because you can use a word like adaptability or communications, and it means different things to different people.
Right.
So you it's that in itself becomes quite interesting.
You're right.
And coming up with some of these skills. Problem solving, I see, is one on that list, and you know that involves a lot of different attributes and things before you can solve a problem. First of all, you got to recognize you got a problem.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes people don't realize they got a problem.
You're right, and it's just we want our students to be excellent citizens, citizens that contribute to our society when they come out of school, and yeah, we look at these 5 and think they're very, very important, and then we'll dig down deeper and. Hopefully they all have these attributes when they leave Buckeye Central.
Well, speaking about leaving school, that would lead me with
There's a good segue.
Well, yes, about graduation. I know we've talked about that, the graduation date, because I'm sure people have called you and said, when is graduation this year? Because people like to plan ahead. When is graduation at Buckeye Central this year?
Graduation this year is Sunday, May 19th.
Okay.
At 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And it will be hosted in our gymnasium. You know, we retrofit the gymnasium for graduation. Works out really well. And we never can give that date and time enough because, of course, our parents will be there, our kids will be there, but our community is absolutely invited to come to graduation or commencement, as we call it. But that is Sunday, May 19th, which is not too far out.
No.
At 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
Time marches on, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, I'll tell you, I think we've exhausted today probably all the things that we wanted to cover.
I think so.
And so, again, I want to thank Mark Robinson, the superintendent of the Buckeye Central Local School District, for being my guest on the podcast. I wish you well. By the way, I'm glad your recovery is going well on your knees, right?
It was on my knees.
And yeah, it's going well.
That's in the rearview mirror.
Good. I like that.
Very nice. That's in the rearview mirror, and don't have to worry about that anymore.
Well, Mark, that's a lot like somebody bringing up to me about being 40 or 50 years old. I always tell them that's so far in the rearview mirror, I can't see it anymore.
Same here.
All right. Thanks again for coming in and doing the podcast.
Okay. Thank you.